All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming for this event. So immediately after I finish my speech, we will go into a panel discussion talking about the investor's dilemma, right? So I'll sort of do a pretext to that based on my story. I just want to see a show of hands. How many of you are entrepreneurs? You know, trying to start a business? All right, that's a lot here, right? How many of you are investors? You know, looking at investing at companies. All right, that's a few hands. Fantastic. Thank you very much. All right. So I think we're here to sort of talk both sides, right? And I want to just share my story so that you can sort of reflect on our journey. So obviously, you know, PickMe celebrated. Well, we've been in operation about 11 to 12 years now, but at least when we went into production, we've just crossed 10 plus years. We went public in October last year, and I'm sure some of you must have been tracking the stock. But all in all, you know, 12, 13 years ago, I was enthusiastic entrepreneur seated right there with every one of you, right? So I want you all to take this opportunity. You know, stay foolish, stay hungry. You know who said that. So take down the questions, right? We have a powerful panel coming on board, right? And I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions that they could answer for you, right? So on the PickMe story, you know, I just, you know, we exited a company with you know, I was the founding management team of a company called Anything.lk. We exited that company, selling to a large telco, and then, you know, I had nothing much to do but look for the next wave to catch, right? The beautiful thing about technology is that there's always waves, right? So keep an eye. Obviously, we are in the wave of AI now. 2-3 years down, 2-3 years ago, we were going after web, bitcoins and all that kind of stuff. But we are in a new wave, so I think there's new opportunities, and that's the beauty of tech. So when we sort of looked at our business, when I looked at the business of getting to ride-hailing, we wanted to make sure that we have a great market fit, right? And what better market fit that we wanted to get in was going after the Tuk Tuks of our country, right? Sri Lanka has 1.5 three-wheelers, which we call Tuk Tuks, in the country. And then, of course, you know, we wanted to see how we can sort of organize that. I grew up, you know, going in a three-wheeler most of my time. You know, my luxury was a three-wheeler. You know, you know, going on a car was not an option. But I actually, you know, if I had to go suited up, I would go in a three-wheeler. And it was very personal for me to see how I can sort of organize this. Now, we didn't know much about the industry. You know, as a company, we didn't know what the industry was like, and we took time to understand, you know, that industry. So that meant, you know, trying to think like a three-wheeler. You know, what's the psyche behind a three-wheel driver, right? We took some trips. You know, we lived his life just to make sure that we understood how to design our product for that man who's driving a three-wheeler. I still remember, you know, when we launched, right? We had a few drivers. We picked a few, about 40 to 50 drivers. We got them to our garage and said, you know what, we have done this app, and we love you all to test it out, right? And then obviously we send them off, and you know, they went out there. Now obviously we didn't have our passenger app released yet, but we gave it to all our employees, all our friends, all our relations, and we said, you know what, we have this new app. Why don't you give it a try? So what we did was, we watched and waited, right? I remember the next day, one of the drivers came to us and said, I'm going to do this in Sinhala, Mahathya, meka nika magic wage. So for us, it was like, why is this even a magic, right? I mean, for most software engineers, you know, we do products, we never realize the real value that we bring out. And he said, Mahathya, මේක නිකන් magic වගේ. ඇයි? මහත්තයා අපි ඉස්සර කරේ hire හොයන් යන එක. දැන් මේකත් එක්ක hire අපි හොයන් යනවා. So if I translate that to English, what we used to do before as drivers was to go looking for trips. But with this technology, the trips came looking for us. And that's the time we realized we touched gold, right? We touched gold. We literally said we've done something, right? So that sort of changed the whole perspective of the company. We realized a market fit here, and we said, you know what, now let's take it to the next level. So that meant, we had to raise capital. We want to see how we can sort of grow this fast and sort of create an impact very fast. So obviously, I took the opportunity, I took the challenge to go meet the investors. Right, I was very fortunate to find some really interesting investors. Now, I was very careful that I get the right people on board. Right, some of the early investors are in this room. Right, so very grateful for them. But I wanted to make sure that we get the right people in so that they can create greater value for the company. Right, so some of the entrepreneurs here, you have to make sure you get the right investors in, because you get the wrong investor, you will run into issues. Then second, we wanted to see whether the investors see value in us, right? Because, just as much as I go and talk to someone who can fit the company, does the investor see value in investing in the business? So that's the second part, right? And then we wanted to see, I wanted to see whether the investor understands the business, right? The vision that we had, right? 10 years ago, it was a different vision. Today, we have a very different vision. But did the investor understand the vision? I want to talk about one example, actually about two. One investor looked at us, obviously very attractive, a great P&L. If we get this all working, the company will be super valuable, right? But then he was worried about, we were the first mover. We had the first mover advantage. He was worried about a foreign company coming and taking over the market, right? And we knew that companies like Uber would come into the market, and we were basically getting prepared for that as well. So that's one investor that declined us, and there was a second investor who looked at us and said, why would I invest with you all, right? Because if I stepped out of the road, stepped out maybe even out of cinema life, you're going to see hundreds of Tuk Tuks, right? Why would I invest in you? So he missed the vision. He missed the value that we were creating, right? And that was it, right? So every other investor who came in, so some of the seed investors that we had, we've been able to give them a 150x return, and we still keep doing that. Thank you.